But first, let us answer the question why biblical exegesis is important. That you need to choose your pericope or some verses of that pericope for your study. For example, when Psalms 23 says, "The Lord is my shepherd," it is clear that this statement is in the context of a livestock farming city. And now let me explain the main section of the exegetical process. This is the literary analysis. The factual element of the biblical study is the text of the Bible. It is the revealed message from the Lord, the message that was transmitted orally or in a written form until it was encapsulated in what we call the Masoretic text, or the text of the Old Testament and the New Testament in Greek. We don't live in the biblical places. We cannot meet the biblical personages, people at the time, but we can explore the text. It is extremely important to study the text by using the biblical languages, which are the Hebrew, the Aramaic, and the Greek. How do we make the literary analysis of the biblical text? I recommend to consider the following steps: the morphological syntactical analysis, the semantic analysis, the literary style analysis, and the textual witnesses analysis, and finally the intertextuality. For the first two steps in the literary analysis, you need to get some resources. First, you need to get the Hebrew Bible. The standard academic edition is a BHS, the Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia, for the New Testament. It is the Novum Testamentum, but Nestle Aland. In addition, you need some lexicons or dictionaries, Hebrew dictionaries or Aramaic dictionaries. For Hebrew and Aramaic languages, I recommend the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicons of the Old Testament, edited by Kohler Van Garnet, or the Concise editions, that is a practical edition, Charlotte, edited by Halliday. For the New Testament Greek, I recommend the Greek English of the New Testament, or Exegetical Dictionary of the New Testament. There are valuable resources. You will also need a concordance. For the Old Testament, the best one is the concordance of Eben Shoshan. It's the concordance of the Old Testament of the Hebrew Bible. Other resource I highly recommend is the Analytical Hebrew and Chaldee Lexicon. It is very practical book to work morphological details of each single Hebrew and Aramaic word in the Bible. You can get some of these resources and many others in paid electronic databases like Bible Accordance or Logos Bible Software. In a single click, you can find tons of information on grammatical issues, concordances related to the biblical language analysis, and other important tools, books for the literary analysis. There are also good resources in the internet, free resources. Perhaps you can send me a direct message to my Twitter account, Teófilo Correa II. I will share with you other resources. Well, I forgot to mention also you need to explore some biblical languages, grammars. For Hebrew, I use the Biblical Hebrew Grammar of Page Kelly. A more advanced grammar is the grammar of Biblical Hebrew Reference Grammar, Van den Berber. Sonderbank has published a very practical material, for example, the basic of Biblical Hebrew Grammar, and also the basic of Biblical Greek Grammar, and for more advanced level, Greek Grammar beyond the basic. So those material are important to study the biblical languages. Let us see some more details about the literary analysis. All verses in the Bible contain one sentence or more. It is good if you divide your verses in clauses or sentences. In some verses you can find 1, 2, or 3 sentences. For example, in the verse of John 1:1 include 3 sentences. The first one is, in the beginning was the Word. The second one is, and the Word was with God. And the third one is, and the Word was God. Once you have the sentence for analysis, you need to point out the morphology of the main words of the clause. Morphology means the part of the speech. It could be a noun, a verb, adjective, preposition, etc. A verb in Hebrew can be perfect or one that implied a complete action, or imperfect, one that reflects an incomplete action. Also the verb can be kal, nifal, piel, hifil, hifael, etc. They are the stems of the Hebrew verbs. They indicate if the verbal action is simple, intensive, active, passive, reflexive, etc. In Greek morphology, for example, identify the nouns. It could be important if they are nominative, genitive, dative, and so on. It helps a lot in the translation of the sentence for the syntactical analysis. And the Greek verse has tenses and modes that are also important to identify before getting an accurate translation. In short, the morphological analysis tells you if the words is in the sentence are nouns, verb, adjective, etc. In addition to that, it is essential to determine what is the function of the word in the sentence. For example, if the noun is a subject or object of the sentence, it's also a key process to identify the predicates and the complements of the subjects or predicates in a sentence. We call this process syntactical analysis, and it helps to identify the main characters in the plot and the action of the verb in the sentence, depends on the genre of the section under study, of course. Let's see an example in Genesis 1:1, the syntax of the first sentence of the Hebrew Bible. The sentence Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. It's introduced the sentence by a time of reference expression, Bereshit. Then we have the predicate, vara. And then the predicate comes in a third position in the sentence. And the rest of the sentence is the direct object. I consider important to identify the subject of the sentence because it's telling me who is the doer of the action in the sentence, and it's important. There is a standard structure of the Hebrew and Greek sentences, and the alteration of that structure is an important element to identify an emphasis on a personage or action in a sentence. In relation to the semantic analysis, you need to identify first the key expressions in your sentence. Generally, the key expressions are the verbs, which is the verb is a core of the predicate, and the nouns. The nouns sometimes plays the role of subject, of object in the sentence. Now you have to study in details the semantic range of that key expressions. First of all, it is useful to explore the etymology of the word, which is the origin of the word or the connection with other cognate language. For example, the word holy, which comes from the Hebrew word Kodesh, has a connection with the Akkadian word Kadusho. We will see some details later. You can amplify your understanding of the Hebrew word by revising the connection with other related language. Second, you need to study the meaning of the keywords in Hebrew or Greek lexicons. You will discover that the Hebrew words are polysemic, or they have more than one meaning. Something similar occurred with biblical Greek expressions. One biblical word can have 10 different meanings. The good thing is to examine the words carefully so you have the chance to see more options for meanings as you translate the word. You don't need to study every single word in the sentence, but only the key words, the most important words. This step is extremely important. In my personal journey doing exegesis, I try to put all this information, the semantic and the syntactic and morphological information, in a chart. For this process, you will need some resources like grammars and lexicons that I point out early in this session.